My name is Joe. As you know, I'm the an advisor to Veteran Business Project, and we are here today to highlight a successful groundbreaking partnership between Canary Speech and Veteran Business Project to help veterans better manage mental health with AI-powered voice analysis. This partnership gives veterans real-time insights into their stress, mood, and energy levels, and enhances both their well-being and business success. So today we're going to hear from Marine Corps veteran Lynn Louder, the CEO of Veteran Business Project, to talk about why Veteran Business Project sought out Canary to engage in this partnership, and then we'll hear from Henry O'Connell, who's the CEO of Canary Speech, to talk more in depth about what the platform does and what it's capable of doing and where they might be going in the future. So after that, Henry and Lynn will take your questions. So go ahead, Lynn.
Thank you, Joe. Glad to be here today. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Veteran Business Project is a 501c3 organization. We match veterans and military spouses that are looking to be entrepreneurs with existing businesses looking to sell. We have a one-on-one coaching model called V Harmony, and we've been doing this for about 12 years. One of the things that is important for our veterans in particular, coming off active duty, is that we want to make sure they're match ready for this undertaking. They're really looking to find a business that suits them, sort of the right business for the right lane in life. What really excited us when we heard about this wonderful AI technology through Canary Speech and Henry O'Connell and his team was the ease by which a veteran could speak for 40 seconds into their iPhone, if you will, and within a few seconds later, they're going to get some indicators here that there might be something they would want to look into. Depression, that type of thing. This is revolutionary in my view. The process is also anonymous and confidential. Veterans, when they come out, they're looking for people they can trust and entities they can trust that can help them. There's never been anything like this, and we have basically made it available to several of our veterans. The feedback has been very positive. In fact, I'm a special operations combat veteran from Vietnam era. I wish I would have had Canary Speech's technology a few decades ago. I think it could have been extremely helpful. So this is groundbreaking, and we're absolutely thrilled that Henry and his team would see fit to roll this out through our organization. We're nationwide, dealing with a lot of veterans, so we are excited about making them all aware of this technology. It's available to them. If there's anything here that they might feel they should basically follow up on, here's a way to do that and a reason to do that. It indicates there's some issues here so that they can make the best move possible as they move down the road and start dealing with any issues on the mental wellness side.
Awesome. Thanks, Lynn. Henry?
Well, first off, Lynn, thank you very much. It's what a pleasure and honor it is to be working with you. You know what our thoughts are with respect to our veterans. Anything that we can do. Canary Speech was established 8 years ago. Myself and my business partner, with a 40-year relationship, 45-year relationship, we're at a point in our careers we wanted to do something that we felt could impact in a practical way to provide health information to individuals and to clinical teams easily, practically, to do it in a way that if it's being used by individuals as it is by our veterans, that they could do it in the comfort of their homes, that it would be secure, that it would be private. And we began the company with those principles. We've developed over the last few years within the clinical environment, we have developed and validated with peer review and papers, academic papers, the analysis of approximately 15 million data elements every minute that are below the actual word level that we speak. There are 2,548 different data elements that we look at. We do that every 10 milliseconds. We do it from conversational speech. So an individual doesn't have to respond to some written script. They simply talk. They talk about how their day is going. They can have a conversation now in an ambient way with their spouse or their partner and provide information just from that conversation. Canary is capable of then analyzing that within milliseconds of time and returning scores on a range of different elements. In this particular application, we're looking at things like behavioral health, stress and mood, anxiety, depression, that are deployed in medical environments, but can be assessed using their Android or Apple device, a tablet or a phone at home. The Canary Speech app is available, downloadable from the Apple or the Android store, and can be run anywhere. We run it not just in the US, but in multiple countries in the world. Anywhere that an individual has a phone, a functional phone, they can take an assessment. 40 seconds of conversation, we analyze that and we return scores in 3 to 5 seconds of time. Those scores can be, for instance, as we spoke about, they can be on things like their anxiety, depression, the stress in their lives, their mood, their fatigue levels, energy levels. So they can track a number of different things that are happening. It gives them longitudinal information. It gives them a record of where they were and can compare where am I today compared to last month on this same day. If I'm having a rough time in my life, which frankly all of us do at times, how am I dealing with that? And am I recovering from that in a way that my levels, my normal levels of stress and mood or anxiety and depression, my normal levels are coming back to normal. So we engaged in this relationship because frankly, I can't imagine a better one. And we're just so grateful for what you do, Len, in service to our veterans. So thank you.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Henry.
for what you're doing.
And from the reporters joining us, what questions do you have for Lynn or Henry?
I mean, I guess I'll go first.
Sure.
I'm trying to sort of like walk through a practical, like if you can just sort of give me an example or how you think that veterans would like use this effectively. Like, is it something they tune into like on a weekly basis on a, what, you know, just give me a scenario so I can sort of understand this.
From the standpoint of Veteran Business Project, Patricia, that's a good question. The ease of doing this, and Canary Speech is making this available on a first-time basis to our veterans. They can use this technology gratis, free, for the first time through. And moving on down the line, they will be able to be told this is something they can do that's situational to them then. But also, as Henry pointed out, it's longitudinal. You can start to begin to get a history of your mood and your affect and so forth over time. So it's very user friendly. From a veteran, number one, the notion of PTSD is extremely topical. We all know that. People come out and they're trying to do two things, trying to figure out who am I now? What's my lane of life going to be? From our perspective, we want people to be able to do that, and we want them to have the clearest windshield possible. We do talk about the VA. If they have anything muscular, skeletal, that's a place they can go to file a claim. There's mental wellness there. If there's anything of any consequence, and then we talk about recommend this technology, which can give you indicators in areas of mental wellness that you might be struggling with. The notion that, or dealing with, the notion that it's confidential, that it's easily available, that it's very accurate, because they will get a breakdown on how accurate this technology is, and it's amazing. I use it myself, in fact. That they can take it as as their time calendar allows, but because it's so effective and because it's so readily available, my thought and all of the other things, the confidentiality, we're going to have veterans, I think, they're going to want to take a peek under the hood and see which areas of their mental capacity, so forth, and status they might want to be looking at.
And Patricia, to give you an idea, in my own personal life, my wife and I use it together it's kind of fun. We each have our own levels. My anxiety level tends to be lower than hers. I'm normal. I mean, she just runs a hotter engine than I do. And so we're able to look at that. Doug, who's on our line with us, uses this on a daily basis, as do I. I record a history of where I am. When I'm traveling quite a bit, I often think, hey, I'm fine. I've recovered. My wife is often telling me, nope, honestly, you haven't. And you're a little sharper with the kids and the grandkids than you should be. And it prompts me to take, I like walking to help kind of charge my batteries and lower my anxiety levels. And so giving myself that time, being able to have objective information that helps me monitor my own life. I measure energy levels, which gives me an idea of where my fatigue is. If I'm chronically fatigued, it impacts on both depression, particularly depression, but also anxiety. So managing those things in my life, particularly with our veterans, they're people who do things constantly. They're trained to endure. They often, as veterans, are trained to put up and deal with situations that the rest of us just don't even have to endure. Because of that, they come out very hardened. And by that, I mean they often endure a great deal more stress before they say, ow. And monitoring where their stress levels are, we can monitor that using vocal biomarkers, sub-language characters that are directly related to the central nervous system. We can measure, even though they have been toughened in their training and in their lives to deal with things. And I think of myself as being that. I was not a veteran, but my life experiences have led me to that. We measure independent of that. So we can get a real read. It can tell us, give yourself a break today. Take a little bit of time to go for a walk or listen to music, whatever it is that we do. If we're overly fatigued or tired, maybe getting to bed a half hour early, because we're always going to get up early. It's just our natures. But nonetheless, give yourself a little bit of time so we can monitor those things at home, and then more effectively help monitor our own health. It empowers, I think, us and them to be able to have objective information that enables us to make decisions about our life and to monitor how those decisions are helping us, and how the impact of what we're doing, work and other things in our life may be causing elevated depression or anxiety levels. So that it's information for them, and it's information that's confidential and private, and it provides them with a look into their lives that they can capture easily. I do it every day. I think, Glenn, you do it every day. I know Doug does it every day. It's something that's now available. We can do these kind of things, and it was developed within clinical environments. We deploy it in hospitals and clinics, both here and in Europe and in Japan. So it's something that is available and commercial that they can use.
Awesome. Thanks, Henry. Ryan, I saw you jumped in the room. Do you have any questions?
No. Just here to listen. Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions for anyone?
I would ask a follow-up, which would be,
Please.
in layman's terms, can you sort of explain like what you're looking for in somebody's like timbre, or like basically their voice, and what they're measuring and how it all works? Like, can you just
Sure.
explain like exactly how AI looks at this and figures out what's going on with you?
Sure. So historically, my business partner created a lot of the foundational products in speech. The most easily recognizable is the Amazon Echo. He led the team that built the Amazon Echo, but he also led the team that built what's called Dragon Naturally Speaking, which is used within 80% of our hospitals today in the US, and broadly across other countries. But he and I were talking about this 8 years ago in the bagel shop when we were talking about starting this. And he historically, the last 25 years before us, people looked at what words were people using to get sentiment analysis. Are they using words that are indicators of stress or anxiety or anger or emotional feelings that are negative or positive? There had, in 20 years, 25 years, some very, very good people worked on this, but there were no products, no practical products. I suggested to my friend who has known me and our family for 50 years almost. My wife and I have 5 children. We have 9 grandchildren, and he's seen my kids grow up. So I gave him an example. Caitlin, who's on this call, is my oldest daughter. She came out of both Intermountain Hospital and 3M Medical, where she was an executive with them. When I tried to recruit her when we were a startup, I had to convince her that she could have a job a year from now. That was, of course, 6 years ago, but she was at 3M Medical, it was like dad and 3M Medical startup Canary speech. But Caitlin played soccer and other sports in high school. And when she would come home from practice in the evening, early evening, 6:30, 7 o'clock, and she would walk across, I'm telling Jeff this story, she would walk across the room. From her gait, I had an indication whether or not it was a good day or a bad day. When she turned and looked at me, her facial expressions would tell me a great deal more. And as a parent, I would say to her as she was striding away from me, I would say, "No, Caitlin, how did your day go?" And she would say, as you can imagine, "My day was fine." And I'd say, well, I don't believe that. So wouldn't say that verbally, but I would say, "Come on, time out, come over and talk to me." And she would express, whether it was a test she took or someone in the hallway or the soccer coach or whatever it was, that was creating some angst in her life, some anxiety or depression in her life. And I could just see that, And when she talked to me, I understood it greater or more. But then I said to Jeff in this bagel shop, I said, Jeff, there was a lot to do with what she was telling me and what her gait told me, her walk, and what her facial and body expressions told me. But I don't have the pleasure of having her live with me anymore. She's married and she has a family of her own and children. Now I'll admit to calling her twice a week. And I said to Jeff, I said, when I call her, I can't see any of those cues anymore. And I just get to talk to her over the phone. But within moments of the conversation starting, and it has nothing to do with the words she's speaking, and it's irritatingly accurate, I know whether it's a good day or a bad day. I know if she's excited or she's happy or she's sad, or even if she's angry. I can tell all those things, and it isn't from any words she's using in the conversation. And I asked Jeff, how are we getting that done? So Jeff's answer in the bagel shop at that time was, I don't know. But the approach to analyze words and what was being actually spoken was not a good indicator of how an individual's behavioral health or many other things, their cognitive health, or if they have a progressive neurological disease, how that's doing. And we have models in all of these areas today. But we first looked at behavioral health, and what we found was these 2,548 features which correlate or relate to how speech is created. So how does the central nervous system tell the most complex motor function that we have in our bodies? Our vocal cords, are the movement of air, the pressure of that movement, the speed of that movement, the volume of it, how fast the vocal cords are moving, how quickly they change speed, either up or down, the movement of my tongue and my cheeks and everything else that goes on, to all the pieces of the orchestra, all the instruments of the orchestra that create speech are self-consciously controlled by the brain and our central nervous system. But they not only indicate wonderfully this fluent sentences and words that we hear communicating with one another in, I don't know, about 150 different languages, but they also communicate a range of musical elements that relate to these emotional things: anxiety, nervousness, depression, sadness, anger. We can all hear, if we're on the street, someone yelling, and without being able to see them, we get a very good impression that that's a mother or grandmother at a youth soccer match versus someone who just had a car accident. And even though they're not really saying any words, we know the difference between those two expressions, those two yells. And so we know when someone is yelling something that it's an alarm without them saying the word, I need to give you an alarm on this. So that was the basis on which we said there's an awful lot being communicated. And the reality is, when a clinical team member is speaking with a patient, they're learning as much about where that patient is through those indicators than as they are from what the patient is telling them. We have historically in medicine developed a lot of subjective question sets that we help trace that and confirm that for us. What Canary speech does is it uses objective biomarkers in the speech to provide that same confirmation that either our spouse is seeing in us, we observe ourselves, or a clinical team member is observing with a patient. So these are confirming pieces of information. They provide confirmation either personally about where our health is, or to a physician or a nurse practitioner or another clinical team member while they're trying to help us and evaluate where we are. So that's the approach. And when we started, no one had done it before. Today we have 12 issued patents in most parts of the world, 8 in the US. I love telling people that of the 12 patents we have, we received all of the claims we asked for. And there was one patent in the EU where claim 15, they asked us to change it. In all the other jurisdictions, that claim 15 was accepted. But in the EU, that claim said the application of vocal biomarkers in the assessment of disease and human condition. They said, well, you have to state what disease and human condition. So we listed 90, and they accepted that. So the approach is kind of a aha moment in a bagel shop. We do this all the time. We can get on an elevator with someone we don't know at all. And we have intuitively what we talk about, intuitive impression, that it's not a good day. I've taken to saying to them, how is your day going? Because I'm a very outgoing person. So at any rate, did I answer your question, Patricia? And you're on mute.
Yes, sorry, I was on mute. Yes, no, that's great. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mhm.
Awesome. No, thanks, Henry. And Ryan, I see you had a question in the chat. And Lynn, this is Ryan's question. He says, how is this being rolled out to veterans who need this service? Lynn, you're on mute.
Yeah,
Lynn, we
Lynn,
can hear you.
Yeah, there we go. Thank
There
you,
you go.
Joe.
Thanks.
We've made it available to a number of our veterans in the system right now. We've noticed them that this is available, describing what the technology is all about, encouraging them to take advantage of it and use it as a tool, as an indicator, and so forth. And we're going to be, I think, probably doing another mass release here in the next few days also, so some additional registrants for it. So we're making it available with people that have registered in our system, registered in the vHarmony system.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great. And
Cool.
quick follow-up on that. Do you know how many people are currently using it or currently part of the initial rollout that you mentioned there, Lynn?
I think we're looking at about 80 or so right now.
Great, thanks.
Do bet.
Cool. Any other questions?
I'm good, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks. It's 2:56, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I think it's an exciting new technology. There's a longer form interview with Henry on Silicon Slopes that I listened to over the weekend. It's about an hour long. Kind of does a really deep dive on the issues in the technology that I'd encourage everyone to listen to as well. And just like smartwatches are now providing us data on how we sleep and how much exercise we get, calories burned, and things like this. I think this is just another useful window into what's going on under the hood, so to speak, within our own bodies that allows us to better understand ourselves and make decisions about what we want to do with that information. So, Henry or Lynn, any final thoughts?
None from my end here. We're very excited about more and more of our veteran community becoming aware of this technology. It's groundbreaking.
Awesome. Thank you.
And just from my side, we just appreciate so much the opportunity to work with Lynn and to work with our veterans.
Fantastic. No, thank you, Henry. And if people want to know more, it's canaryspeech.com and veteranbusinessproject.org. And then Henry, I know if reporters want to get a hold of Lynn, they can come either through Meredith or me, but if folks want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do that?
I would
Sorry.
go ahead.
No, forgive me, Henry. Go ahead, please.
I would suggest our emails are our first name plus canaryspeech.com, spelled as you would expect. So Caitlin at canaryspeech.com or Henry at canaryspeech.com. Caitlin is much more fluent than I am, quite frankly. And so don't hesitate to reach out. But
Awesome.
we're available.
Thank you.
We're absolutely available. Okay.
Wonderful. And then I see a note from Tracy in the chat for Ryan and Patricia. If you contact her at tgrant@veteranbusinessproject.org, she can give you the link so you can try Canary Speech as well. So I just want to thank everyone for joining today and really appreciate your time.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.